Well, hey guys, so today we're going to sort of finish up this round of Adobe After Effects lessons by creating our own little custom animation that sort of like uses our own sort of creative, our own creative instincts and a series of kind of designs we make in Adobe Illustrator. So go ahead and open up Adobe Illustrator and press Create New. And we're going to create, let's go to, say, for instance, print here. And we're going to, maybe mobile. We'll go to mobile, and let's just go ahead and make this 1080 wide in terms of pixels and 1080 tall, and press create, and it gives us this little square canvas here. Now, just so we're all looking at the same thing, I'm going to go over to Window. I'm going to choose Workspace. I'm going to find Essentials. And then I'm going to go to Window, Workspace, and I'm going to say Reset Essentials. So hopefully we're all looking at the same things. We'll see our little tools over this side. We'll see a little panel of properties. My version might be, I think, a newer version than yours. But just so we're clear, if at any point you want to see your whole artboard, press Control, and hold down the Control button, press 0 on the keyboard, then you get to see everything. Okay, so much of the same way as when we're looking at Adobe After Effects, the sort of color we see right here is nothing. It's invisible. So if I were to save this and kind of import it in, there'd be nothing there in After Effects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by making a background color. Now, the idea for this project is that we're going to create a sort of a city skyline that's going to change colors, or it's going to alter itself. It's going to have several animated things here. And what animates and how it animates is kind of up to you. So we'll start off by creating a sky, and I'm just going to create sort of a neutral blue here, and I've chosen this right here, R41, G171, B2226. And then I'm going to make sure my stroke, I click on my little stroke here. I make sure that's little white with a red slash is chosen, so I can just have that. And so I click over here and I just click and drag from one corner to the next, and I create this little blue field here, and that's just, fantastic. Okay, so the idea behind this is that we're going to create this sort of minimalist cityscape that's sort of one on top of the other. So I'm going to zoom out slightly. I'm going to hold on the Control button, press the minus sign a couple times, and you can hold down the Alt key and roll down with the mouse wheel. I don't have a mouse right now. And I need you guys to go to Pixabay, or you could also go to Unsplash, or you could also go to Pexels. I think we talked about these places before, and I'm just going to search Skyline, right? And I search Skyline, and I get a lot of different things. And you want a skyline picture that looks like this right here, to where you can see just like a flat angle of the buildings. This is sort of like at a 3/4 angle, but still, the building side by side. This one might actually work pretty well too. This guy right here. This might be a little too complex for our purposes. This would work pretty well as well. So I might, but I've already got two right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab mine. I'll say show in folder, and I'll just grab the two of these, and I'm just going to drag them into Adobe Illustrator here. So they're one by one, they're here. Okay, so they're tiny comparatively, but it's okay because I'm just going to like pull this off to the side here, and I'm going to expand these out. Once you move them around, you should be able to kind of grab them at the corner. If not, click off, click back on. Choose a different tool. Like you can always like click on the a different tool over here, and then click back on it. Should allow you to expand it. If not, you can always go to Object, Transform, and Scale. And in this case, I might scale it like 200%. And so there you go. That's good. And maybe that's just too big. I want to have some detail here. So I want to have a lot of little things. Okay, so this is our starting off point. So I'm going to get my pen here. And what I want to do is this, the pen works the same way in Adobe Illustrator as it does in Premiere. Like you just click once, you click again, makes a straight line. You click once and you hold and it curves. So let me see if I can get my fill off for a second here. And my stroke, maybe something like red. And maybe I can like make the size a bit bigger. So you can kind of see what's happening here. And I click once, I hold down the Alt key and drag some more. It'll change the angle, as it were. So just gotta keep that in mind. Okay, so as I was saying, what you want to do is at this point we need to go to a new layer. We want to click on our layers little tab over here and find this little piece of paper with the corner folded up and create a new layer. So this should be familiar to most of you guys. I'm going to zoom in slightly, and I'm going to just use my pen tool to create an outline of the cityscape. So I'm just going to hold down the Shift key that allows me to just go straight up and down, And I'm just going to click and drag here. Hold on Alt, drag up, click up. I won't do all this rigmarole here, but I will just sort of bit by bit, kind of, right? And then, okay. So again, all you're doing is just following a rough outline of the lines, and you're just getting yourself a good sort of cutout of this building here. I'll just put it this way. I'm cheating a little bit here. Obviously, you can be as detailed with this as you like. The more detailed, obviously, the more options you'll have for the final steps and stuff, which we'll get into in a different video. But just click through, and I might speed this up. Done with my outline. Hold on Control, press minus a couple times here. I hold on the space bar to move my my mouse, my canvas around. I'm just gonna go straight down, straight across, and then I'm gonna go straight back up to link up with this guy right here. And so now what I can do is I can go to my properties and I can take the stroke away, and I can fill it up with something else. Like maybe I can go here. What's a good thing here is you can go over here to color.adobe.com. And then just maybe, go to explore, type in city skyline, see if anything pops up. Hey, look at that. All right, so you got several little different things here. In this case, I might choose something a little more neutral like this. Okay, so this is nice. So I can actually download this as an ASC, and actually, no, never mind. I'll just copy these guys here. So I'm just gonna click right here, copy this, and then I'm gonna go over here to my fill, and I'll go to my little color mixer, and I'll just type Control V and press enter. And so there you go. Now I've got that. And once I click off of this, that becomes the thing. So over here by layers, layer 1, I'm going to go ahead and call that BG for background, and I'll call this one Skyline 1. Okay, cool. All right, so let's make a new layer, and let's take a look at our second skyline. In fact, what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to go back to this guy. I'm just going to click on this guy and just press delete, and that'll get rid of him. Okay, so with this guy here, I'm going to drag him. I might actually make this layer invisible. Just hit this little eyeball icon, then it goes away. And then I'll just make this guy big enough to fill up the screen. Control-0 to get the whole thing visible. Let's start. We can shift and drag this up so it doesn't get warped. And this is a good thing to kind of. I'll raise this up a little bit here. And then once again, we'll just go through the same motion here. Make sure that we're on layer 3 while we're doing this. Okay, so done with this. Control-0 to make it all visible. I'll go back to my guy here. I'll just copy this next color, and I'll go back and I'll just get my fill, and I'll just click here and Control-V. Center. Try it one more time. Copy that. Control-V. There we go. And now we can kind of, we'll get rid of this guy here. Press V on the keyboard to get your select tool, and then just select that and delete it. And then layers, make this visible again. And I'll make Skyline 1 the background. Oops. I'll make Skyline 1 be in the foreground and Skyline 2 be in the background. Okay. And so now we can kind of see where these guys are sort of related to each other. All right, so let me just back this up a little bit. Okay, so even though we have things that are kind of like hanging out here, we don't really. It's not a big deal. We can just kind of leave these guys just sort of chilling. And because when we import them into After Effects, that it won't really matter. Okay, so as far as these things go, let's do this. Let's add a couple more layers here. I'm going to go over here, add one more layer, and I'm going to put in some windows. And the windows, the way we do this is actually pretty simple. So I'm going to sort of like zoom in here, and I might put some windows in right here. I'll make them like white. So I'll press M on the keyboard to grab my sort of tool here. I'll make my color, my fill color, white. Oops. Undo. Click off of that first. Control click off of that. I'll make this white. Okay. Nope. Here we go. I'll just draw a circle right here. Hold down Shift, make a little square. Make sure we're on the right layer here. Okay, and I'll make this white. Okay, so we have this little square. Again, this is on layer 4. In this case, I'm going to say Windows. And that will become clear a little later here. So just wherever you have your windows, just hold down Shift and hold down Alt, and you can drag it outwards once, and then hold down Control and hit D on the keyboard, and now you have 4 of these little squares here. And do the same thing, select all 4 of these, hold down Alt, drag them down, hold down Shift where you're doing it so they stay straight, and then Control D until you get as far down as you like. That's good. Okay, we'll do the same thing over here. In fact, what we'll do is we'll just Control... Well, actually, we'll just select all this stuff here. Let me just... I'm going to do this number here. I'll just click and drag, select everything, hold down Shift, and deselect these guys here. So now we've got this. And I'm just going to press Control C, and then I'm going to make a new window, and Control F, and I'll just kind of drag them this way. New layer. And you know what? Maybe here would be good. Right about there. And we'll make these guys on the layer below. Oops. Control layer 5, Control F. And then maybe just Control V. There you go. Cool. Now they're on layer 5. And we could actually have like these hanging out here. And maybe just take a couple of these guys away. Okay, so just to add some flavor to this all, let's click. So we have, let's think here. This is, we'll call this one Window 2. In this case, we'll call this Window 1. Okay, so let's go click on our background. Let's press new layer, and let's make some clouds. Okay, this is kind of fun. What we'll do is we will go to our rectangle tool, hold that button down until we find our ellipse tool. Let's just draw a couple circles here. I'll draw one circle, hold down Shift, go to my properties, make sure it's white, or maybe look a little gray. That's fine, like a light gray. And we'll just hold down the Alt button with our Move tool selected, and just Alt drag this a couple times, making kind of a bubbly sort of shape to it here. You kind of see what we're doing. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select everything, making sure I don't have my background selected. Hold down Shift, deselect the background. And then under your properties, you should see this little button that says Pathfinder. If you don't see that, click on Window and Pathfinder. Find Pathfinder down here. And just click this little button that says Unite, and then it all unites. And then what we can do is we can click on our rectangle tool here and just draw a little rectangle below it, say right about there. Oops. One. And then hold down Shift, select both of these guys, and then click on this that says minus front. And so now we have a little flat bottom cloud sort of floating out there. It's kind of fun. And so we want this definitely on its own layer, so I'm going to call this Cloud 1. And we might just, let's make one more cloud, then we could just kind of duplicate them. So I'm going to make another layer here, and I'm going to do the same thing I did before, except for I might make this a bit bigger. Let's make this like a big cloud. So I'll make this like a good deal bigger, and just hold on the V, press V, and then hold on Alt to just drag this around here. It's going to be a good deal bigger. And I'll definitely want to make it a slightly different color, maybe like a darker color. And what we'll do is we'll, so let's once again, hold down Shift, select all these guys. And then Unite. Okay, good. Okay, and then what we can do once again is just I'll make these a slightly different color on my properties. I'll click on Fill. I'll make it a little bit darker. A little bit darker, not a lot darker. A little darker, that's fine. And then grab our rectangle tool. Draw the rectangle here. Switch them out. Move it down slightly. And then once again, minus front. And so now we have this guy hanging out here. And I want to say if I hit the letter A on the keyboard, I might be able to click on this guy and sort of like curve that up a little bit just to make it a little less angly. Same thing here. Get down here and I can just sort of click on this little widget and sort of drag that in. Drag this guy in too. Okay, great, cool. So we've got our clouds. And we put these on different layers here. Okay, so that's basically our background. We'll kind of we'll add on to this in terms of things that'll be moving around in the foreground in another video here. But let's go ahead and do this. So what we want at this point. Oh, let's do one more thing though. Let's actually do one more thing. We'll make this behind the clouds, behind everything. We'll call this Cloud 2. Cloud 2, and we'll click on our background, make a new layer, call it Sun, and we'll do this number here. Let's this is actually kind of a fun little trick here. Let's make a circle. Hold down Shift, make the circle, and I'll put this over this way. And then what we'll do is we will make it sort of maybe a golden yellow here. I can go over here to my color mixer, and I can find my HSB. And just drag my brightness or my saturation down some, and maybe even drag my hue over a little bit too. Saturation down even more. That's really good. Yeah. Okay. So I've got H55, S27, more like 28, and then B100. So that's what I got there. Okay. So I'm going to duplicate this. Hold down Alt, drag it, and I'm just going to make it slightly bigger. And I'm going to Alt. Oops. I'm trying to put this all the way. Hold on Alt, drag it over, slightly bigger, make it a bit bigger here. I want Control D, and then oops, right. Let's just okay. So Alt, drag it, make it slightly bigger. Okay, and then each one of these guys here, these three here, I'm going to make their opacity, let's say 20%. And then what we'll do is we'll just select all three of these guys, and I'm going to click the sun one more time so it sort of gets highlighted. And I'm going to go over here where it says align and make sure they're all aligned to the center and all aligned vertically. And so now we get this fun little sun here. And I can actually so this I'll call this sun. All right, so they're all on its own layer. So we got a cloud, we got this, we got that, and you can get a mess with the colors here. Like I'm not sure if I really enjoy the fact that like the clouds are gray and the buildings are gray as well. Maybe I want to make the clouds a little more blue, so I can go over my properties, fill. Hit my HSB here, maybe sort of amp the saturation up a little bit and turn it a little more blue. Same thing here. Or maybe purple, just to make it stand out a little bit more. Point is, you can just do whatever you want with the colors here, but we do want to have these lights. We do want to have these guys as well. Why we have these that'll become clear later on. Okay, so once again, with everything else, let's go ahead and make sure everything else besides the cities, like the clouds, the sun, everything else should be wholly inside the composition. Everything else needs to be sort of like inside the composition. So that is okay, cool. And then I'll just save this. And save it as a .ai and just turn this in. So two things in the sky or three things in the sky: cloud, cloud, sun, and then two of your own city skylines with your own sort of color composition, sort of like a palette added to it. Right. So we'll call this. Let's go. Videos here, city animation. I'm gonna call this file here background, or I'll call this environment, shall we say? And cool. All right, very neat. Save that, press OK, and neat. All right, so turn this into the .ai file, and then we'll import this into After Effects in a second here. All right, cool. See you in class.